What's going on, Boulder, Colorado? We have a good amount of content to cover today, so we're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about the initial injury report that dropped late last night. I was going to get something out last night, but I decided to wait till this morning. There's some players that surprised me that's on there, but there's also some even bigger surprises of those who are not on there. So stick around for that. We're also going to talk about a couple of commitments that have came down over the last 2 days while I was traveling. Definitely worth diving into because now the Buffs have 13 players in the committed class for 2026, and it should see even more rising as another player pulled up for the game this past weekend. So let's dive into all of that here on the Prime Time for College Football, a Hog Media production presented by our friends at Sleeper. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for tuning in to the channel. Let's dive right into the meat and potatoes of today's video as the initial injury report before the BYU game this weekend has come out. Now, as you all know, the Big 12 adopted what other conferences have begun doing is giving out initial injury reports. And Coach Prime talked about it on his presser earlier this week, more so saying that it's more so for the gamblers out there to be able to put their bets and have their information they need for their bets, which not disputing that whatsoever because I think that he's actually spot on that. But at the same time, it's really good to have this information up front, even as a coach, to be able to start planning and preparing for each week. And so Colorado put theirs out. Let's pop this up on the screen. This is what we're looking at for the Buffs going into this game. First and foremost, what shocked me on the outs was see RJ's down, and Terrence Love is still down. But I think the ones that got to me were Trackhawk is going to be out right now, as well as Simeon Price. To me, your two top running backs in the backfield. And so that's going to put a lot of work on Caden Salter. But, having Michael Welch, also having Dolan Hayden back, that should be able to help in that situation. But to me, that's a pretty big set of losses as Taylor's got over 200 all-purpose yards, and Price, to me, was probably your most productive running back to start. Like, he was playing like he was supposed to be a starter. Like, he was giving you a lot of heavy effort as a back, and he's like third. He's tied for second, actually. Him and Michael Welch both have 143 yards, right behind Caden Salter, who's leading the team at 153. So it appears that the team's going to have to really lean heavily into Caden Salter being the top running back. That may not be a good thing, but at the same time, hey, right now it's all about getting W's, and you get a player like Caden Salter, that's what they're here for, is to be able to, run around a lot. There were two players, though, that did not show up on this report. Let's dive into them. But first, shout out to our partners over there at Sleeper. If you're not using them for daily fantasy football, you are missing out. Sleeper has some of the best options out there in daily fantasy football, as well as season long. So not only season long, you can do the daily. The best part about them too is they've got great features within the app. You can see real-time updates and visualize all of the stats. You can get lightning fast updates on the players that you're playing, as well as your favorite players and your favorite teams. All of this in one place. So download the number one app today. Use our promo code PRIMETIME, and you will get 100% match on your first $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. So as we look at this report, two players did not populate on there that I thought would at least be in the probable space. And it appears Buffs lucked out in here. So Jordan Seaton, the all-conference left tackle, as well as right guard Zy Chrysler, neither one of them are on here. Now, they missed time in the Wyoming game. And because of that, I was very cautious of, okay, I'm hoping that these two dudes aren't down going forward because, as we talked about in the video here before, the Buffs have one of the best graded offensive lines in pass blocking in college football today. They're rated very high. They've done a fantastic job of changing that narrative because that was considered, quote unquote, a big problem for the Buffs, was their ability to pass block. Right now, the Buffs are top 10 in pass blocking, and they look like it. Quarterbacks got time. Quarterbacks are protected. And that's exactly what you would like to see. Now, Seaton only saw 38 snaps in the game against Wyoming, and he's been one of the highest graded tackles at 89.6 by PFF. He's playing good. Everybody's watching him. He's most likely going to be a first-round draft pick. So the Bucs got to do everything to make sure he's safe and taken care of. But losing him and Zai Chrysler, you don't want to lose those two in games because they're really some of your top snap getters out there. Let me see. Jordan Seaton's at 228 and Chrysler's at 223 snaps this season, just behind Xavier Hill and Zarian McGill, who are around 251 and 241 respectfully. So you don't want to lose your two of your top linemen, one on the left and one on the right, down. But the good thing is they're not on here. I know Coach Prime mentioned that they had been both back in the mix and available after dealing with their ailments, but at the same time, the question was, will they show up as probable? Will they show up as out? And they're not. They're showing up. They're not even showing up on the list. So that means that they're going to be fully available and they should be good to go this weekend. So they're going to be needed because BYU has a very stout defensive front. They're good on the defense, right? They're rated nationally in the raw metrics as a top 3 defense, not only in pass defense, but also run defense. So you're going to need those guys in order to protect your quarterback. Plus, you need to get revenge from last season. Let's move on to the next stories. The other things that have jumped out for the Buffs and the good news, more great news has come in. 2, not 1, but 2 players have committed in the last 2 days. You had a commitment 2 days ago from Emmanuel Ruffin out of Alabama, big-time defensive lineman, 6'3 and a half, 290, big boy, SEC country, 4-star, top 200 player in the country. 247 has him as a top 125 player. So that's a big pick and top 20 in his position. You cannot beat that. And then adding with him, you got wide receiver Christian Ward, who committed late yesterday, live on 247. Massive pickup for the Buffs. I think that's a probably big pick up at the wide receiver room. He comes in at 6'3", 185. He's a 3-star. And so you get to bring in those 2 players into this fold, and that actually helps with the additional recruiting that you're doing. As I mentioned, there was another player there that the Buffs are 100% putting the full court press on. And he showed up to the Wyoming game, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, I think Colorado is making some waves. And that's Darian Morgan, the wide receiver that is committed at Alabama right now. He's been committed to Alabama since the beginning of July, but he's come to Boulder. What's this, his second or third time coming to visit? Let me see. Yeah, he came, and I think this is his second visit. They were able to get him back on campus, which is massive. You bring a player like this, he's on the sideline talking prime. Another big-time receiver that will do good things, great things next season with Julian Lewis, who will take the helm once Caden Salter is gone. You'll be able to get Juju redshirt to come in as a redshirt freshman and go out there and cook, and then you'll have weapons around him. And I think having weapons around is the most important thing if you want to see your quarterbacks be successful, and we're seeing that now. That's a massive pickup. I think that's a huge deal for what the Buffs are trying to do. So let me know what y'all think. Hop in those comments. We want to hear your thoughts. How y'all feeling about these pickups? Me personally, I think they're massive, and I think they're going to be some game changers. All right. We'll get another video dropped out later on tomorrow or probably later today. We'll talk through what the Buffs need to do in preparation for BYU. We'll look at some advanced numbers, but I think Colorado has an opportunity to really shock college football with that win. So hit the like, subscribe, bell notification so you don't miss any of these videos. We'll talk soon.